So I just came in from the gym, right? And something been on my mind I kind of want to share. Now, might say some stuff that's very unpopular to say amongst black people, but I'm gonna say it anyway because I like to be as unbiased as possible, and I believe nobody's above criticism, dead or alive, right? And I'm saying everything I'm saying as an avid, pretty strong Tupac fan. My take on Tupac, right? Crazy how this happened. I was watching some stuff on YouTube called the Tupac conspiracy, or it might have been the Machiavelli conspiracy, one of those, right? And then, you know, I was telling my lady some stuff that I realized in watching that shit. If you can find it, watch some of those videos. It comes in parts, right? And there's like this very, very eerie music in the background that kind of like pulls you in and makes you want to watch it. Because at first I was like, man, what is this bullshit? What is just some old conspiracy shit, right? But in watching it, in the way it was broke down, it was very interesting. Fast forward 2 weeks later, I see another documentary that I think was on TV with some lady and Ice-T, where they dug into the whole death behind the death of Tupac and Biggie and some of the incidents leading up to it, right? And in doing that, Ice Cube also unveiled some shit. First thing I realized from, 2 weeks prior from watching the stuff on YouTube. Okay, first off the bat, you're gonna know their intent is to kind of enlighten you that Tupac was put in place. Tupac was selected and put in place to do exactly what the fuck he did, right? Which was, if you're older now and you look back on some of the shit Tupac done, you shouldn't agree with it if you've matured. You shouldn't agree with some of the shit, the wild shit he was doing. Like, he had very destructive tendencies. Very, very loving dude. Like, if you look at some of his early on interviews and shit, and you pay attention to the way he talks, he's very, very genuine, very sincere about, social injustices, the poor people, and inequality and shit like that.
It's homeless people out here. Why ain't God letting them stay there? Why these niggas got gold ceilings and shit? Why God need gold ceilings to talk to me?
Very aware, very smart dude. Now, where we make the mistake is we deify these people that we love and make them gods, right? Tupac is like a god amongst hip hop culture and amongst black culture. Hip hop culture is black culture, a part of black culture, right? The most influential culture in the world, hip hop culture, black American culture. We influence everybody. So Tupac is a god all over the world. But what I will not do as a fan, and knowing that he still has family alive, I will not call the man fake. I can't do it. But dude was an actor on film and in real life. I won't go as far to say he was put in place, but you can argue that he was. There's a bunch of behind the scenes shit that we don't know about that happened that makes you question this man's existence and his legacy. You know what I'm saying? In which he's not above reproach, so he can have his legacy questioned, dead or alive. You can be criticized and questioned. Okay. One thing I saw on the fucking on a YouTube video that I noticed, and one thing that these people didn't realize in the 90s, in the 80s, when these cameras always rolling, cameras catch everything. The day this dude went to court after being shot the first time, right? He had his head wrapped up, had his hand wrapped up. The hand that he supposedly got shot in. But if you rewind back to when they rolled him out of that studio in New York where he got shot at, right? Supposedly got shot by the people who robbed him, right? when you rewind the video, when you rewind back to that day, when he was being wheeled out and put into the ambulance, he had his fingers like this, right? That hand did not have a gun wound, an exit wound, or entrance wound on it. And quite frankly, if you get shot right here, man, I didn't have my hand swole up before. And it's hard to move your fucking fingers. If you get shot here, you got all kind of tendons and bones and shit. You blow that shit out at the close range that they was robbing him at. If he got shot at close range, you would see this shit blown out. His hand would have the hole of Christ in it. Okay? Nigga hand didn't have no holes in it. He was like this when he got wheeled into the ambulance. The day of court, had the hand wrapped up, supposedly got shot. The first question you would ask is, why would doctors lie? Why would doctors have to lie? Even the doctor said he got shot 5 times. Come on, man. Everybody. Nobody. Everybody's human. Anybody could fucking lie for any reasons. Whether they get paid to lie, whether somebody, the powers that be, approaches one of these doctors and say, hey, this is the narrative we're trying to spin, so this is what I need you to say. Right? Fast forward to, like I said, that two weeks after I watched this video, right? Ice-T and the white lady pulled interviews from Big that had never been heard before. Also interviewed a guy who was there when Tupac got shot the first time, who had never spoke about the incident before. The guy who had never spoke before, I forgot his name, right? But this guy said that all he knows is there were 2 guys in army fatigue gear. They didn't pay no mind to him. Of course, they looked a little out of place, but they didn't pay that much mind to him. They was headed upstairs to link up with Big and Lil C's and them, right? They go to the elevators. When they get at the elevators, these dudes approach them, cussing and shit, telling them niggas to get down on the ground and all that shit, right? And Pop, being the hothead that he is, he decides, fuck these niggas, and he reaches for his gun. When he reaches for his gun, this dude say, all I heard was pow, and everybody dropped to the ground, right? And so they asked him, so when Pop reached in his pants, y'all just dropped. He say, man, I'm gonna tell you like this. All I heard was 1 shot. He only heard 1 shot. So when Pop reached in his pants to pull a gun, he shot himself in the leg. Now the narrative is Pop got shot 5 times. Got shot in the hand, got shot in the groin, both sides I think, and in the head. I don't know where else he got shot, but the dude's pistol whipped the dude in the head. Later on, 2 weeks later, when I saw this video from Ice-T talking to the guy, they also played an interview of Biggie, where Biggie was saying he not feeling that shit Pac doing. Like, Pac on some bullshit. First of all, we supposed to be homies. You trying to blame me for setting you up for being shot. And come to find out, you wasn't even shot 5 times. You shot yourself 1 time, and you got knocked upside your head. But Pop continuously pushed that narrative that Biggie and Puffy set him up, which led to the hostility amongst the camps. And, I'm not blaming him for the East Coast, West Coast thing. That's on the media. That's on the media. But you perpetuated the shit. You tried to downplay it, a few interviews, saying the media was doing the shit, admittedly. But you had a hand in the shit too. Maybe at some point you got tired of the bullshit and you was ready to like do what you were meant to fucking do, or you felt like you were meant to do, which is to be a progressive public figure, a positive role model, in the liberation of black people, because that was in your blood, man. That was in Pac's blood. Mom and the dude that raised him were part of the Black Panther Party. And I quite honestly, the more I learned about Shakur, the name Shakur, and his mom and Tupac and the guy that helped raise him, I was more interested in his mom's story than Tupac's. That's how I felt like since I became aware. The dude was meant to be, he had revolutionary, the purpose to be a revolutionary was running through this man's veins. But he was on some bullshit, you know. And I know y'all want to run to his defense, right? But if you are, keep in mind, dude died at 25. I'm 32 now, and I can admit that I'm not near as, I wasn't nearly as wise and aware and smart and conscious at 25 as I am now. So, dude didn't even live up to his potential. And if you are 30, 32, 35, almost 40 years old, and you're still defending this young ass man who died at 25 years old, you still strongly admire and look to him as a role model. Like, you really need to look at yourself in the mirror, because dude died at 25. You're almost 40. You're 30, 35, almost 40 years old, and still looking up to this young ass dude. He was a kid, very aware, very smart, conscious in a sense, not wise, because he didn't apply what he knew. You know what I'm saying? He was just playing the game, the whole game of the rap game and the entertainment industry. He was playing along. He was living a life, dating all these celebrity women, fucking all these celebrity women, models, such and such, blah, blah, blah. He was a weed smoker and a drinker, right? So he was living a life, using the beef shit to generate more revenue and increase record sales. Because I've heard for years that Biggie approached him at one point and was like, man, what's up with that bullshit? Like, why you on that bullshit? And Pac was just like, man, look, man, I'm just trying to sell records. You know, you still my homie, but I'm just trying to sell records. You know what I'm saying? There probably was a method to his madness. You know what I'm saying? He was trying to sell records, get his money up, and so that he can be in position to do what he really wants to do, maybe. But that destructive ass nature led to his demise. And the nigga was destructive, man. Like, if you're an older cat and you know when you were younger, you were easier to pop off, you had a hot temper, you was quick to fucking fight, quick to, like, look at some of the shit that the dude done. Quick to fight, spitting at cameras, throwing up the FU sign. Dude, I don't do that shit now at 30 years old. Some of y'all still 30 and posing like this. Almost 40 and posing in pictures like this. Like, you too cool to throw up the peace sign? You don't like peace? You rather be confrontational, fuck you, negative, than be peaceful and positive? If you are 30 years old and you get on my video defending this nigga, as much as I love him, I love his mama too. As much as I love this dude and I'm a fan of this dude, he was a young hothead. Maybe there was a method to his madness, but his destructive ass nature, he participated in perpetuating this East Coast, West Coast beef, which puts more than just him and Biggie in harm's way. That's that's staff members, people's families, people who have nothing to do with any of them beefing and conflicting, killing each other. It was just a negative domino effect that he was helping perpetuate by participating in it. Now, had he completely and fully denounced that shit, it probably could have put an end to it. Had he established peace with Big before he died, and even Snoop before he died, ain't no telling, man. Like, Big probably still be alive. He might even still be alive. But y'all remember when Funkmaster Flex came out saying some stuff similar to this, right? And we all got mad at him. But what if I tell you Funkmaster Flex was right? Like I said, I refuse to call the man fake, because I would like to believe there was a method to his madness, but dude was an actor, on screen and off screen. Still a fan of his music, still a fan of his movies. When I hear his voice, I miss him. I wonder what the fuck content he would have put out these days, how he would have, if he would have been the political leader we all assume he would be. I wonder all that shit. But speaking on the 25-year-old man who died, he was immature, a hothead, and he did not live to his potential. We all know when we turn about 30 years old and we're approaching 30, it's this switch that flick on in us. And all of us give us a new perspective on life, a new sense of responsibility, a new sense of maturity. I don't think he had reached that yet. I'm 32. I ain't reached it till I was 31, admittedly. Till like a year ago. It clicked. And I realized what I want to do with my life. This dude was only 25 years old. Sometimes we realize that he's a little bit younger. You know, he was a workaholic, yes. That's why he seems mature to a lot of us, and we think of him as being older. Like, I always thought he was like, or at least my age that I am now. But dude was 25 years old. Only 25. That's still a kid. To this day right now, I sit down and I talk to people in their early 20s, mid-20s, and I realize, damn, I used to think like that person. I used to move like them. I used to operate like them. Even though it's just a 7-year gap, it's still a huge gap in maturation. 25-year-olds love to say, you ain't that much older than me, but I am older than you. Here, I'm older than you. And that's just a fact. Peace and love to the Shakur family. I meant no offense by this, but the facts are the facts. If you can, look at that video, the Tupac conspiracy or the Machiavelli conspiracy, and then also look at the documentary that Ice-T was doing with some lady. I don't remember the lady's name. I'm sorry about that, but Ice-T did a documentary, and even Ice-T, as Ice-T was finding out shit, he was just like, wow. Like, wow. But I know he was thinking some of the same shit. Like, it makes you look at this dude a different way. Still love him, though. Peace.